I'm very grateful to Mr. Shishir for inviting me and to share my views with y'all. I don't know whether it is by accident or design that you have placed Ambassador Verma as a buffer between me and the esteemed ambassador. But as you mentioned, I'm now an academic in a suit and tie, no longer a soldier in uniform. Although you can't take the soldier away from the man ever. As we look at China-India relations and to the future, I think it is also worthwhile to have a quick peep into the past. We are both civilization entities with civilizations going back to 3,000-4,000 years. And in these centuries and millennia, we have been at the forefront of development, both economic, spiritual, and whatever field you can think of. So this is an aspect that we have to keep in mind, as also that as part of that, as late as the 18th century, just the two countries, that is China and India, accounted for almost 50% of world trade. And the ambassador did mention that now the two countries are accounting for about 20% now. So we were right there together, cooperating for so many centuries. Before, unfortunately, post-independence, we didn't quite see eye to eye on certain issues, leading to the 62 war and strained relations thereafter. But if you look at the civilizational timeline, then the last 60 or 70 years is but a very small blip on this entire timeline. And these kind of ups and downs in the relations between two countries are bound to occur. So there is nothing abnormal about that. But nevertheless, this blip in the relations cannot be just be set aside or brushed under the carpet. It is a very important and emotive issue between the two countries, and the sooner we settle it, the better it will be for the world at large. Post 2020, a large amount of forces are arrayed on either side of the line of actual control, and as our foreign minister has said, that this is a very dangerous kind of a situation, that so many forces are almost eyeball to eyeball with each other. So definitely, this is not a situation which is in our common interest, and we need to move forward and try to resolve it as soon as possible. In this regard, I would also like to quote what our Prime Minister had said in an interview, and I'm reading it out. It is my belief that we need to urgently address the prolonged situation on our borders so that the abnormality in our bilateral interactions can be put behind us. Stable and peaceful relations between India and China are important for not just our two countries, but the entire region and world. I hope and believe that through positive and constructive engagement, at the diplomatic and military levels, we will be able to restore and sustain peace and tranquility on our borders. This was said more than a year and a half ago. India has always wanted peaceful relations and engagement with all its neighbors. Our G20 slogan was that, one earth, one world, one family. It is not, and why I'm highlighting this point, it is not that the current momentum or change or interactions that are taking place between China and India is something which has been forced upon us due to events which are happening. We've always wanted good relations with China. And it is fortuitous that over the last couple of weeks, our relations with China are on the mend, and a number of initiatives have been announced at both the political, diplomatic and military level so that our engagements and relations improve as we go forward. I was particularly heartened to hear and see that a fresh mention was made about the political parameters and guiding principles for the settlement of the India-China boundary question. This agreement, which was signed in 2005, had raised great hopes of early resolution of the boundary question. Unfortunately, 20 years have elapsed since then and not much progress has been made. But the fact that it is being talked about once again gives us hope that as we move forward, this irritant in our relations will be set aside. And it is, as said in the Prime Minister's statement, it is important that the irritant be set aside so that the region and the globe can benefit. As we go into the SCO summit, if the major countries who form part of the organization are not seeing eye to eye with each other or have major differences, then obviously the summit itself or the countries who are part of that also have their own hesitations that they have to overcome. So relations, whether it is between India and Russia or India and China, all are important in this larger global framework. So I'm very happy that we are moving forward on discussing the boundary question once again. And it is very important to understand that we are not even calling it a problem. We are calling it a boundary question. And it is a boundary, not a border. Because when it is a boundary, it is open to negotiation. It is still a conceptual line where a certain amount of give and take is possible. And I feel that the 2005 agreement contains within it the framework that can be built upon to move ahead and solve it. And it includes certain very key issues such as giving due consideration to geographical factors, to give consideration to settled populations on either side of the LAC, to keep national sentiment and historical facts into account. And all these, I feel, are a very good place to start from to commence the delimitation process for reaching boundary settlement. And once this delimitation process, which is obviously at the political level and probably the most difficult one, once this delimitation process is got out of the way, once the conceptual factors or protocols are laid out, then the other two steps of delineation and demarcation will automatically fall into place. So I have hope for the future that our relations will improve. And as I mentioned, that we have always been more than ready to come halfway towards improving these relations, and we are very hopeful that China too will reciprocate our goodwill as we go ahead. And that is the only way that we can all prosper. Otherwise, with the two most populous nations of the world not seeing eye to eye, does not bode well for everyone. With that, I will end my comments. Thank you.